Hello and welcome back. My name is Eric Fadiman. This is MIT 235, Design Systems, or How to Build One in Figma, as a companion piece to my lecture on design systems. Today we're going to talk about spacing variables, color variables, type styles, shadow styles, the difference between a style and a variable, components, and the 8-point grid. When you get started in screen design, it's really good to have an 8-point grid for consistent spacing because that works for the greatest number of screen sizes. With your frame selected, make sure you go over to grids, plus sign to create a new grid. The default is 10. I've already changed mine to 8. Change it to 8 right here. But there's another component to this. Make sure you go to the Figma menu and make sure you go to Preferences and Nudge Amount and change this to 8 pixels as well. This way, when you use your arrow keys, any item that you have selected will snap to the grid on 8-point increments. Make things a lot easier. You can keep this showing if you want, but I like to just go to the eyeball icon to hide it temporarily. While we're on the subject of 8 points, let's set up our spacing variables on 8-point increments as well. To find the variables panel, you make sure that you are deselected and go over here to variables. And you see that I have 2 collections, color and spacing. I've made a bunch of my variables already, but I'm going to make 2 more. These are also on 8-point increments for consistent spacing. Go to Create Variable and go to Number, and I'll call this XXS for extra, extra small, and make it a spacing of 8 pixels. I'll do that again, Create Variable, Number, and call this XS for extra small, and 16 pixels. While I'm here in the variables panel, I may as well make my color variables as well by going to my other collection called colors. Let's delete this one. Delete variable. You see that I have a prefix, my pink, my yellow, my orange. You can do this any way you'd like. This is just my prefix that helps me find the things I'm looking for. Create variable, a color variable. I'm going to call it, you guessed it, my blue. I'm going to go over here to the color space and the eyedropper icon and select the blue for my color variable. You might have heard of color styles, which are the same as color swatches in Illustrator. Figma now likes to use color variables because engineers and developers like to work with them. I'm going to close this out. I have my spacing variables set up. I have my color variables set up. Let's also create some typographic styles. With the type selected, I'll hit these 4 dots and I'll hit the plus sign. Create a new style and call this Headline 1, Create Style. I have styles for all of my type for consistent styling. I also have shadows here. Let's zoom in on those. It really makes it much more consistent if you make your shadows ahead of time, large, medium, and small. The plus sign, and I'm going to give this the X position 8 pixels, the Y position 8 pixels, the blur amount 8 pixels, and I have a small shadow. And now I'll click this 4-dot icon and the plus sign, just like with typography, and I'll call this a new style with the name of Shadow Small, Create Style. All right, let's make our first component. I have a label, I have a search icon, and I have a search field. Let's pull this up here. Let's pull this in here. Let's make sure that these are aligned, and let's hit Option Command K, and we've created our first component. Figma calls it Component 1, but I will rename it Search Field. And remember, once you've made a component, it lives in your Assets panel, and you just need to drag it from here onto your canvas, and that is a component-driven workflow. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you know where to message me, and I'll see you in the next one.